All right, back here on Inside Wrestling Radio. On the telephone, we have AJ Kirch from Tough Enough, and you can follow AJ on Twitter at AJ Kirch. That's AJKIRSCH on Twitter, and he also has a Facebook page, AJ Kirch Fan. That's on Facebook, AJKIRSCH Fan on Facebook. AJ, you were eliminated on week 8. That was the week, of course, that The Rock came in and schooled you guys on promos a little bit there. And everybody, to a man on that particular program said that you cut the absolute best promo of the group. And I have to agree, man, that was a really, really good job. But did you practice that thing before you went out there? Did that just kind of come off the top of your head? Where'd that come from, bro?
You know, that came from exactly where I was in the competition at the point. You know, I hadn't been doing so hot leading up to week 8. There was no bottom 3 the week before because Martin had to withdraw from the competition because he broke his ankle in just a horrible, I mean, I have no idea what happened. I went back and watched the footage, and he was just getting out of the ring, and it was just probably one of those freak accidents that happen from time to time, but Martin was gone, and then the whole ankle injury with Christina happened at the end of the previous episode, and her future was uncertain, so there was no bottom 3 the previous episode. And, you know, me being in the ring with Christina when her injury happened just looked bad on me, and it was partially my fault. And so I've just been having a rough couple weeks up to that point, and that promo was all about just, you know, a hypothetical match with Bill, and, you know, it was about me having something to prove. I think what made that promo really special is that I believed in everything I was saying. And that was something that Bill and the other trainers were trying to drill into our heads the entire competition. You need to believe every single thing you do in that ring, whether you're performing or talking on the mic or whatever it is. You need to believe in it, because if you don't, the fans won't. Yeah. And that's why I think, or one of the reasons anyway, that promo came off as intense and as real as it did.
It was really well done, man. I mean, I don't think you could have hit any more points than you did. And I think the thing that sold everybody, including the people watching, was when you brought everybody in by pointing around. And not only am I going to prove it to you, but I'm going to prove it to them. Really, really well done. And that's one of those things that either you get or you don't. And you absolutely hit it out the park with that one.
I appreciate you saying that. And that was another point that, you know, the trainers kept trying to drill into our heads, that when you're in that ring, and these are their exact words, when you're in this ring, you're in Madison Square Garden. And, you know, even though that training center was a converted farmhouse in Simi Valley, California, in front of, you know, nobody, you know, we had to, you practice the way you perform. Sure. And so when we were in that ring, whatever we were doing, it might as well have been a WrestleMania match at Madison Square Garden, because that's the kind of performance that they wanted to see. And I kept it in mind during the promo, and like you said, I think it was a big part in really driving it home.
You mentioned the injury to Christina there, and I think they gave you almost a little bit too much blame in that, and it was almost to the point where they were saying it was your fault. And bro, you know, of course, listen, I'm not Stone Cold, and I'm not Bill DeMott, but from just from looking at it from the way it was edited, at least the way it aired on television, I don't think it was 100% your fault. I mean, she I thought would have had the sense of mind to know that you were too close, or if in fact you were, and would have said, you know, hold on, let's not do this. You know what I'm saying? Before going that far. What was your thoughts?
Well, something I learned from being on Tough Enough is that when something goes wrong in the ring, it's almost never just one person's fault. Yeah. You're in there. You're not by yourself in there. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're only as good as the person you're dancing with. You know, I was crowding her in the turnbuckle. You know, I was a little bit too close than I should have been, which kind of compromised the space that she had to work with to both jump off the top rope and execute the move and land safely. Yeah. Had I been a little bit further away, you know, would the injury have happened? Maybe, maybe not. Because she's responsible for her safe return to the canvas. Sure. But if I had been further away, I don't think she would have been in as compromising a position as she was because of how close I was, if that makes sense.
It just seemed almost that they were put a little bit too much of the blame, I felt like, at least, on you for that. And I think I absolutely agree that she bears some responsibility in that. But, you know, it's an unfortunate thing, man, and like you said earlier.
Let me touch on that real quick, and just by saying, you know, I was coming into this thing with a lot more experience than she did. Right. And so I can understand how they would hold me more responsible in that kind of situation. Like I should have known better and been a little bit further away from the turnbuckle than I was. My training when I was coming up, I wasn't allowed on the top rope for like a year at least.
Right.
It was a privilege that you had to earn. And I think Christina came into the competition with 6 months, maybe 7 months of experience, and so I wouldn't be surprised if she'd never been on a top rope before Tough Enough. I completely understand where the trainers are coming from, and yeah, it was rough catching a lot of heat for it, but it wasn't by any means unjust or unfair, and it's just part of the learning experience. It's part of the competition.
Absolutely. Speaking of the trainers, AJ, out of the three, of course Stone Cold being a trainer as well, but the three main trainers, of course, Bill DeMott, Trish Stratus, and Booker T. Who do you feel like you got the most out of, and who do you feel like was kind of maybe not there as much?
Well, it was hard to learn as much from Booker as I did from Bill, because Booker was constantly doing commentary for SmackDown. So just his obligations with WWE TV demanded that he not be on the show all the time. That's just his schedule. So he was great. He was an absolute encyclopedia of knowledge, and he was very, very instrumental in teaching me a great deal of what I learned from being on the show. But Bill DeMott was the guy who was he was always on. He was always 24/7. That was one of his mantras, is just 24/7. And man, did he make a believer out of me that Bill DeMott is 24/7 about this business. On the show, of course, he comes off as the hard-nosed, smash-mouth drill sergeant, and he is. That's just who he is. But it's because, and he wants to see all of us succeed. But he also loves this business so much that he is going to protect it, and he's not going to give anybody props that they don't deserve. He's not going to give anybody an opportunity that he feels like that they don't deserve. And so he wanted to see which one of us wanted it and believed in it more than anybody else.
Like I said, we talked to Bill here last year, right before he was announced as the trainer there. Really just an outstanding mind for this business, man. I mean, I don't think you could find anybody, and I think you hit it perfectly, encyclopedic knowledge, man. That's just one cat that knows this thing inside and out for sure, and definitely good to have him on your resume as a trainer, no doubt about that.
Oh, huge. And, he's seen and done it all in the business. I mean, Bill DeMott and he's also been one of the most, colorful characters, one of the best performers. And for his size especially, I mean, his agility and his movement is still unbelievable. I mean, he's impeccable in there. Yeah. And so, to learn under somebody as dedicated and as driven as Bill DeMott has always been was a privilege.
What was your thoughts on Trish? It didn't seem, and again, I know about the editing and all that stuff, but it just didn't seem like Trish really had a whole lot of input. Are we wrong about that? Was she more hands-on than we got to see, at least?
Trish was really hands-on, actually. She was, but she wasn't always as animated or as probably engaged with us as Bill or Booker were. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean like Bill and Booker would just be right there in front of us and get in our faces and really make us challenge ourselves and to prove to them what we're made of. Trish, she taught us a side of the business that we usually don't see. She was way more calm than Booker or Bill was, and especially Steve. But what she taught us to slow down in the ring, to breathe, she challenged us in ways that we weren't used to being challenged. And that covers both what she was teaching us in the ring, that covers yoga. I mean, it didn't make the show half of what we did with as far as yoga is concerned. We were doing yoga pretty often with Trish, and man, it is no joke. It really challenges your body in a way that you're not used to, and it's actually something that I've taken from the show and that I now do regularly just to keep myself limber and in shape. So Trish was coming from a completely different arena than Bill or Booker were, but we learned a great deal from her, and she was also a pleasure to learn from.
And I'm sure it's not too hard on the eyes either, right?
No. Having her around always put a smile on everybody's face.
Definitely. AJ, we're really short on time here, bro. But before I let you go, well, I asked this question to Jeremiah, and I'll ask it to you as well. Who do you think that you will remain friends with going forward from this point? And on the flip side of that, who do you think that you probably won't have any dealings with out of that cast of this year's Tough Enough?
From everybody in the house, I got to be really good friends with Martin and Eric, and to a lesser extent, Matt and Rima. I think I'm going to stay in closer contact with that small group of people than anybody else on the show. I would say that I wouldn't really mind if I never spoke to Andy again. Just because I got eliminated from Tough Enough doesn't mean I still don't plan on making it to the WWE. So sure, right. I hope one day I have to talk to Andy again.
And since you brought that up, do you think the right person won?
Bill, Trish, Booker, and Steve all said their pick was Andy. So yes. Yeah. But had I put money on it, my money would have been on Luke. Yeah. And Andy, up to the finals of Tough Enough, Andy hadn't won a single skills challenge.
Right.
His promo was moving on. And I didn't think he had a lot of charisma. I didn't think he was much of a showman.
Right.
Luke, on the other hand, I mean, on the show, total douchebag. Like, I mean, what you saw of Luke on the show was Luke. That's Luke. That's who he is.
Yeah.
He's just really easy to hate. But when he and I got in the ring, and most of the time when he was in the ring with anybody, good things happened.
Yeah.
And, I can't look at him for more than 3 seconds without wanting to slap the gel out of his hair. And that was the general consensus of, I think, most of the WWE universe.
Yeah.
But that's why I would have picked him to win, is because everybody already hates him so much that I think they'd be willing to pay good money to watch him get his butt kicked.
I agree with you 100%, man. And they kept saying in that last episode when they went over into the Raw program when Steve announced the winner there, and they kept putting, even the announcers were putting over Andy's charisma and his promo skill and all this stuff, and I'm like, well, where did that happen? Because I never saw it. I haven't seen it yet, And when Vince came out, stumbling all over himself, and even Vince was to the point, I think, a little flustered. He was like, "Kid, are you nervous?" It just, I just really would have never, like you said, if I were a betting man, I would have never put my money that way. But again, I'm sure they have an idea of what they're going to do. I just don't know what that is.
And also, I think it's. I wouldn't be surprised. I said earlier, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Jeremiah in the WWE ring in the future.
Yeah.
Same goes for Luke, because he is, devil his due. He's really talented, and he's got a great look, and he's already got a relationship with the fans that some wrestlers toil with not getting a reaction out of anybody for years before they get that kind of heat. Steve told us throughout the show, it took him 7.5 years to become an overnight success.
Exactly.
And so for Luke to already get that kind of reaction out of people is great. But I think they picked Andy because he's younger. He's 23, I think, and Luke is 27 or 26, something like that. Andy's younger. He's a big guy. The WWE's always liked big guys.
True.
And I think they see Andy as an investment in the future, and probably after a year or so, maybe 2, I don't know. But I think the WWE was looking at who someone could later become and not what they were now.
What's your status currently with the WWE? Are you in contact with them? Do anything going on that front?
I haven't had any contact with the WWE at this point. Of course, I'm hopeful that even though I didn't win, there have been plenty of guys that got their start on Tough Enough and later became a part of the roster. The Miz is a perfect example of somebody who came away from Tough Enough a loser, but I mean, everybody. WWE champion, main evented WrestleMania.
Right.
So I'm hoping that I made enough of an impression with that promo, with The Rock giving me props. I'm hoping that's going to get me a second look. I still feel like I'm right on the cusp of getting there. I said it on my exit interview from Tough Enough, and I'll say it again. I don't think it was by any means the last the WWE Universe has seen of me.
And I certainly hope not either, man. Really entertaining stuff this year, and all you guys really did a great job on this season of Tough Enough, man. And I look to see.
Thank you.
I look to see a lot of you guys on TV going forward. Really quickly, tell us that Twitter account again and your Facebook information.
Yeah, you guys, anyone listening can follow me on Twitter, which is at AJ Kirch, KIRSCH, and you can like my page, my Facebook fan page, facebook.com/AJ Kirch fan, and any news, date bookings, events, whatever's coming up, I'm gonna have it all over both of them, so you'll be able to keep track of me on Twitter and Facebook.
Well, AJ Kirch, man, thank you so much for coming on the program today, and continued success to you, bro. And I certainly hope to see you on WWE television in the very near future.
Thank you very much, man. I had a good time, and I hope you're right.
All right, that's going to do it for the interview portion of the program. We'll be right back here to close the show on Inside Wrestling Radio, coming up next.